Hey everyone, I'm Rob Franek. I'm Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton Review. Thank you as always for tuning in to this, yet another segment of our SAT series where we help you expand your personal knowledge of that dreaded test so that you'll be prepared to crush it come test day. Today's segment, my friends, is all about understanding the SAT reading test. And as in all of our other segments, we're using examples from our new SAT prep title that you may certainly follow along in your book or right here on screen. Exercise your free will and pick the platform that serves you best. That all said, if you're anything like other high school students literally across the planet, you may approach the SAT reading test the same way that you'd approach reading in your English classes, likely spending loads and loads of time reading the passage and then going back to answer the question super fast based on your memory and your own interpretation of the passage. That very well-intentioned approach would be patently useless on the SAT reading test. Let us remind ourselves, friends, out loud today, that on the SAT reading test, you are only going to earn points for answering the questions, period. You don't get points for deeply reading. You don't get points for memorizing. You don't get points for interpreting the passage. On the other hand, the point earning, correct answers on the SAT reading questions are all about what's exactly actually written in the passage that you're reading on the test, not what you're inferring that passage means. And let's remember right up from the get-go that there are 5 passages altogether with 52 questions exactly and only 65 measly minutes on the clock for you to answer and work through all of them. Friends, I'm not recalling these facts to scare you. I'm saying them because to do well on the SAT reading test, you need an approach that is designed, fitted, literally made to measure solely with the SAT reading test in mind. Specifically, you need to dive in to the relevant part of the passage, get what you need to answer the question, and get out. I recognize that may sound harsh, Ty, but here's why it's important. Simply put, it's going to maximize your score on the SAT. And let's not kid ourselves, folks, as much as we like spending time with one another, that's exactly why we're all here. But be that as it may, it's important that we sharpen just that last point that I made on that point earning glory with a little cosmic test prep strategy. The Princeton Review's 5-step SAT reading basic approach will help you maximize your number of right answers on the SAT reading test from the get-go. Now, without question, you have heard us reference these 5 steps in past videos, but it is deeply important to reiterate them here for the uninitiated that are just joining us for today. The 5 steps. Step 1, read the blurb. Step 2, select and understand the question. Step 3, read what you need. Step 4, mark the answer in the text. And step 5, personal favorite of ours at the Princeton Review, use process of elimination. It all sounds very simple, I am sure, but we today are going to prove it out together with a little example question. Right here, folks, we are going to employ each of the 5 steps that I just enumerated. We're going to use it on our question, and we're going to get that question right, and we're going to do it together. Let's remember, step 1 of the basic approach is to read the blurb. Now, that may seem obvious, but what I really mean is read all of the introductory material preceding the passage. Here's the blurb from our example passage. This passage is adapted from Linton Week's The Windshield Pitting Mystery of 1954, copyright 2005 by NPR, that's National Public Radio's History Department. So right off the bat, we already know just a couple of nuggets of information that might be helpful. First, the passage comes from the history or social studies category, and we have some idea of what it's going to be about. It's about a mystery that took place in 1954 that has something to do with windshield pitting. The intrigue is palpable, friends. That said, now that we actually know something about what we're going to read in the passage, we are ready to move on to step number 2 of the basic approach, which is to select and understand a question. Here's the beginning of the list of questions. We notice that in that first question, question 11, it is a general question. It asks about the central claim of the passage as a whole. But we are not ready to answer a question, a general question, at least not quite yet. So we're going to set it aside just for a moment. What we want is to find the first specific question instead of those general questions. And we notice in question number 12, it is indeed a specific question. It says, according to the passage, residents of Bellingham, Washington, attributed windshield pitting to. So it asks about a specific detail in the passage rather than asking about the passage as a whole. And let's remember that step 2 says select and understand a question. So in order to understand this question, we're going to turn this kind of weird, half-finished sentence into an actual question that starts with a what, a why, or even a how. So for question 12, we might say, what did the residents of Bellingham, Washington attribute windshield pitting to? Now we can feel really good about this, my friends. We've completed step 2, we've done it together, and we have done it beautifully. We now know that we've selected and understood a question. Hence, we are ready to move on to step 3, which is to read what you need from the passage. But before we can read what we need, we have to find what we need. And question 12 doesn't have any line references. It doesn't tell us exactly where to look in the passage, so we're going to use a couple of other tools instead. First, we're going to use the order of the questions themselves. Now, it is all but an open secret that specific questions on the SAT reading test generally come in order according to where they are answered in the passage, which means that as question 12 is the first specific question, hence we expect, knowing our open secret from the College Board, that it will probably be answered somewhere near the beginning of the passage. That logic is even sharpened that much more if we take a peek at question 13. Question 13 asks us about lines 31 to 32. So probably the answer to question 12 will be somewhere between line 1 and 30. Now granted, 30 possible lines is a pretty significant window, so we're going to use yet another tool, which our team at the Princeton Review uses and uses well, and we call it lead word. Now, lead words are words that you'll actually see in the passage. In other words, they're words that lead you to the specific place in the text. So for question number 12, we're going to look for residents, we're going to look for Bellingham, Washington, and possibly even windshield pitting. Although the whole passage is about windshield pitting, so it isn't going to be incredibly helpful to us to do that, but let's keep it in our mind. That all said, let's find what we need in the passage and let's do it together. We're going to start by scanning for some of those lead words, and pretty much right away we see windshield pitting mystery. And as I just mentioned, that's kind of obvious, and it's not going to be a great help to us specifically in this passage. So we're going to keep moving. Now, here in paragraph 2, we see the word Washington and Bellingham. So now we found the part of the passage that we need to read to answer question 12. Now, you should typically read a window of about 10 to 12 lines. So just for ease today, and actually ease on the test itself, we're going to bracket in that passage as a reminder. And we're going to start with line 6, as that's the beginning of the paragraph, and it seems like a pretty fine place to start. And we're going to go all the way down to line 14. And when we read, we're going to read with the question in our minds. And the question asked, again, what do the residents of Bellingham, Washington attribute the windshield pitting mystery to? So now we read. The epidemic's epicenter, according to HistoryLink, an online compendium of Washington state history, was the town of Bellingham, where tiny holes, pits, and dings seemingly appeared in the windshields of cars at an unprecedented rate in late March. Panicked residents, the website reports, suspected everything from cosmic rays to sand flea eggs to fallout from H-bomb tests. And just a quick note, the H in H-bomb stands for hydrogen bomb. That said, it's that last sentence that is the answer to question 12. And let's remember that our step 4 of the basic approach says to mark the answer in the passage. So let us dutifully do it. We'll do it now, and we'll do it together by underlining. Specifically, we're going to underline panicked residents, the website reports, suspected everything from cosmic rays to sand flea eggs to the fallout from H-bomb tests. Now, we actually have to answer the question marked in the test. Now, we're ready for the last step of the approach, which is all-time favorite of mine, process of elimination. Here are the answer choices for question 12. Choice A says, the residents attributed the windshield pitting to a wide range of possible causes. Well, it's pretty general, but it's possibly a match for what we saw in the passage. So we're going to leave it in, and we're going to mark it with a little squiggly line that in our means that it's a so-so answer choice, a so-so match. Okay, we're going to move on. Choice B says loose gravel on city roadways. We didn't read anything about loose gravel on city roadways in the window of that text. We are then going to eliminate it. We're going to dump it. We're going to get rid of it. In short, my friends, answer choice B is plain old wrong. We're going to move on to answer choice C. H-bombs dropped on the town. Now, we did read something together about H-bombs, but I'm not totally convinced, and I suspect you're not as well, that it's quite right. But we're going to leave it. We're going to put a little squiggly line next to it. We're going to move on to the next answer choice, which is answer choice D, which is acid from flying insects. Now, we didn't see anything about acid from flying insects in that part of the passage about Bellingham, Washington. That is decidedly not a match for what's in the passage, so we are going to eliminate with strength answer choice D. Now, we're down to the last 2 answer choices, and this happens a whole lot on the SAT reading test. Our next task, of course, is to match these choices back to what we underlined in the passage themselves and see which choice truly matches and what we underline and which one is going to be the trap answer. So let's take a look back at our underlined answer in the passage. It said panicked residents suspected everything from cosmic rays to sand flea eggs to fallout from H-bomb tests. The first thing you might notice is that the passage actually says fallout from H-bomb tests. It doesn't say that the H-bombs were dropped on the town. So choice C was a right words, wrong meaning trap answer that the College Board, the creators of all things SAT, loves to use to trip students up. But my friends, we are not going to be tripped up today. Hence, we are going to eliminate answer choice C. Feel the force, my friends. That said, that leaves us with exactly 1 answer choice left. You know what it is. I know what it is. It is answer choice A, and that answer choice is a wide range of possible causes. And that is a match for what we underline. Everything from cosmic rays to sand flea eggs to fallout from H-bomb tests. It is definitively a wide range of potential causes. Since A matches the answer that we marked in the passage, that is decidedly, of course, then the correct answer. We should feel good about it, my friends. But before we move on, we need to wrap up here. And let's just recap and remember that by using the 5-step basic approach, we worked out question 12 efficiently by reading only what we needed in the answer. And we also eliminated trap answers effectively. And we chose our final answer with strength and confidence, knowing that it was based on the passage itself. As always, friends, I'm hoping that you enjoyed this segment. I'm hoping also that the explanation was helpful to you. If you are just starting to watch these videos, please know that our full team at the Princeton Review is wishing you the best of luck on all of your SAT prep. Please do remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for the latest information on careers and colleges and test prep and a whole lot more. Rob Franek here at the Princeton Review, Editor-in-Chief, signing off for today. Be well.